Hello everyone, welcome to the current affairs class where I'll be discussing all of the important topics that are necessary for UPSC, be it for prelims or be it for mains. And we'll be discussing all of the aspects which are necessary for UPSC and ensure that you are holistically covering the important aspects for from the newspaper, right? So without any further ado, let us start with the newspaper, right? We are today looking at 30th May, right? And the first article that we are going to discuss is this particular editorial, which is given by Shashi Tharu. Right? And this particular editorial is talking about how the public international law, all the international laws or all the international conventions are not working. And in this article, they state how they are not working and what are the reasons why they are not working and which institutional organizations or which conventions are actually not working. Okay, firstly, we have Firstly, we have the core argument says that no, no all of the international organizations are not truly public, meaning that they are only focusing on the state, and they're not focusing on the individuals or the people. They're only focusing on the state. When something is focusing only on the state, what will happen? Obviously, people will be ignored, and it is the state's actions and the state's needs that are being taken care of, and it is not the people. That is the first core argument. And second core argument is that it is not completely international, right? States follow the rule only when they consent, meaning that whenever there is consent only then they'll follow. It is totally involuntary in nature. There's not it's I mean it's totally voluntary in nature, right? Even if you want to if you want to watch, you can. I see, if you want to follow the laws, you can follow the laws. If you don't want to follow the laws, there's no need to follow the laws. That is the other problem with what do you call the international laws. Firstly, it is not public. It is not towards the public. Secondly, it is what not fully international, meaning that there's no binding targets that are given. And third aspect, it is not consistent, right? It is not a consistent law. Now, what do you mean by consistent law? The meaning of consistent law means it is not, the enforcement is very weak, right? No matter what is happening, for example, let's say the UN Charter is there, the UNCLOS is there, the human rights conventions are there. All of these conventions are not enforced on the what you call continuous basis. Their enforcement is weak because at the end of the day, the interpretation is very small. Whenever the interpretation is very small and whenever the interpretation is very weak, what happens? The justice part is actually reducing. So that is another problem with the international laws. So what is the first problem? The first problem is that it's not public, meaning that it is focusing only on the states. Second one, it is not fully implemented, meaning that they are voluntary in nature. Third thing, there is no consistent effort, meaning that there is no enforcement. Right now, the article talks about where the major violations are happening. The first place where the major violations are happening is the UN Charter. Right? UN Charter is where the first violation is happening, and in that UN Charter, basically, UN Charter says that there's no aggression that needs to be done from on one country to another country, meaning that one country cannot attack another country. But if you see the ongoing events that have been happening, Russia and Ukraine war, Russia and Ukraine war is happening. Then you have US, Israel, and Iran. All of these are what? They're countries attacking each other. But according to the UN Charter, what should they do? They should not attack each other. But is UN doing something? UN is not doing anything. Right? What is UN doing? UN is only looking at everything. Right? What happens when it does that? It clearly says that powerful states can violate whatever they want or do whatever they want with very minimal consequences. Now, US is there, then Russia is there. Russia and USA are very powerful countries, right? And they are doing whatever they want. Russia attacking Ukraine and causing unrest among the people of Ukraine is a very big thing. But is something happening? Nothing is happening. UN Charter is not able to do anything. The only thing that happened is what? Russia got some sanctions from the Western countries. Russia got only sanctions from the Western countries. That too, it was not part of UN Charter. UN Charter does not say that you have to boycott all the countries that are attacking each other. It does not say anything. But Western sanctions are something that is morally done by the Western countries. As there was Western sanctions, but did that affect Russia? No, it did not affect Russia at all. Why? Because Russia found another way. What is that another way? It went and sold oil to another country. Which country is it? It is India, obviously. Russia sold crude oil to India at a very low price. So if you actually see here, there's no actual consequences that are being made, what you call consequences that have been taken care of by all the countries that are actually in power, right? That is the one of the aspects that uh, this particular article is talking about. The second one is the violation of maritime law, right? Violation of maritime law. Now, what does maritime law mean? What maritime law, in a sense, UNCLOS, meaning that United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea. Basically, it talks about governing or the passage of all the vessels that are happening in the sea, right? Meaning the free waters, and which areas can be territorially claimed and which areas cannot be territorially claimed. Those are all the aspects that UNCLOS is actually talking about. But what you see, there are disputes with 9-line. Right? What is 9-line? 9-line is something that is a claim of China. China says that historically our ancestors and everyone have been through that South China Sea. Right? As our ancestors have traveled to South China Sea, as they have conquered many areas in the South China Sea, 80 to 90% of the South China Sea belongs to us, is what China is saying. Right? It's saying that 80 to 90%, 80 to 90% of what do you call the South China is part of China's. But is that so? According to what do you call the UNCLOS courts and arbitration laws, they said that it does not come under UNCLOS, and China has not have any claim. But it is still affecting. Which countries is it affecting? It is affecting Philippines. It is affecting Indonesia. It is affecting Vietnam. It is affecting Brunei, right? And it is affecting Malaysia. All of these countries it is affecting because all of these countries are also in South China Sea. Right? This is one of the aspects that is present in this particular article. It is also talking about how there is harassment of foreign vessels, and if you actually see, the Strait of Hormuz has already been blocked. Blocked by whom? Due to this Iran, Israel and US war. Right? Many of our vessels have been blocked, and we had to take and go and negotiate with countries like Iran to ensure that our vessels have safe passage. You can see that at the end of the day, no matter what is happening, the UNCLOS as an organization is also failing. Right? You saw that UN Charter has failed because of Russia and Ukraine and the ongoing USA, Israel, and Iran war. Similarly, UNCLOS has failed because of China's 9-line and also the passage of safe passage of all the vessels that are present in the Strait of Hormuz. Right? And then you have other things like violation of international humanitarian laws. Right? You have many conflicts. What are the conflicts? You have Syrian civil war. Right? Syrian civil war is there. Then you have Yemen conflict. Then you have Tigray. Tigray is something that is conflict that happened in Europe, right? Tigray Europe conflict. What does this all of this say? It says that there is a protection of civilians during the war in its beginning. Right? It says that during the war or during something that is happening and conflict is happening, right? What should they do? They should take care of the civilians. At the end of the day, the wars that are happening is between two nations. It is not between the people of the nations. Okay, let's say there is a Syrian war. It is on the nation of Syria, not the people of Syria. So what should be done? Firstly, the rights of the people should be protected. But countries are not waiting or not waiting even for the people to evacuate. What are they doing? They're directly bombing. If you remember, a bomb was actually thrown on UAE, right? Saudi Arabia, UAE. What happened? And it was without any warning, without any warning. And without any warning means what will happen? Obviously, people will get very scared. There's no civilized protection at all. So that is another ways where the civil rights or the international law is failing, right? And the fourth aspect is like human rights violation, right? Human rights violation. Human rights violation is also happening where Rohingya crisis is happening, right? Rohingya crisis. Rohingya crisis is there. Then suppression of protests in Iran, right? Suppression of protests in Iran. Then Rohingya crisis is happening. Then there is torture during US wars. If you actually see, there is no proper care or care taken for by the people, right? And whenever these kind of things are happening, the trust on international organization and international laws is actually reducing, because the main reason international organizations and international laws have been brought into existence is to protect the people. right? It is to protect the people and it is to protect the weak nations. When the weak nations are not having justice and the people are not having justice, then what is the use of these international organizations and international laws? There's no absolute use. They are just something that are given on the paper. There's no absolute uh, implementation of these things. There's no strict regulation. Then what should we do? What should we do in these kind of things? Right? We have to take things in our hands. That is why many countries are taking things in our hands. You see, Russia is taking things in our hands, meaning that Russia believes that all of these international courts or international organizations are failure. Even Russia believes it, USA believes it, many other countries are believing it, but only the small countries try to depend on them. Let's say there is a superpower. What are the superpowers? Russia is a superpower, China is a superpower, then USA is a superpower. What do they believe? They believe that international courts and international arbitration courts, international organizations, all of these are not used, right? Because at the end of the day, who's controlling? All of these superpowers are controlling. So they believe that whatever they do will work. But countries like India, then Taiwan, then Philippines, Nepal, what are these countries? These countries are very small countries. Who will they depend on? They are not superpowers. They are not global powers. Who will they depend on? They have to depend on these kind of organizations. When these kind of organizations are not working, the who will suffer? It is the people of these nations. And these nations have the highest amount of population. India has nearly 1.6 billion population. Right? It is nearly more than how much? Some percent, right? Some person is there, and that person is too high. Right? At the end of the day, we need to keep in mind that international organizations are for the people, for the nations that cannot actually stand up to the superpowers. So this is the problem with all the international organizations that are there. Then you have weakening arms control. Weakening arms control, meaning that countries like Iran, they are proliferating. Where proliferating in the nuclear power, they are enriching nuclear power, nuclear power with something on 15 to 20%. 15 to 20% enrichment means they are focusing on nuclear activity. Then there is North Korea. North Korea is also focusing on nuclear activity. Is anyone stopping? No one is stopping. No international law is stopping. No international organization is stopping. All they are doing is they're giving a sanction or giving them a warning. What will happen if they give them a warning? Nothing will happen. Meaning that the nuclear stability is reducing. If you remember, there is Iran's program. The Iran's program is nothing but joint comprehensive action, comprehensive plan of action, right? This particular program is there. As this particular program is there, Iran is not accepting it. Iran is violating it, and USA is trying to do something, right? And who's doing it? It's USA that's doing it, not the international organizations or not the international laws that are taking care of this, right? See, that is the problem with all the international organizations and laws. And then you have environmental failures, right? All the environmental laws like Paris Agreement is failing, right? Many people are not contributing to the NDCs, nationally determined contributions. Then there's deforestation in the Amazon, right? All of this is happening. The global warming is rising. People are being affected by the heat waves. Everything is happening. But is someone doing anything? Is an international law putting a binding declaration? No. When the binding declaration is not there, when what do you call Paris Agreement is not working properly, when the international laws are not working properly, what is the use of these? This editorial is showing a point. The point is that all the international laws and organizations are just there for show. They're not there for proving a point or proving or doing justice. They're only there to show a point that we are there. Meaning that, let's say, for example, if someone asks, is there a law? Is there a law to protect environment? Yes, there is a law. But if you ask, is this law doing justice? No, that law is not doing justice. But there is law. It is only for saying, meaning that if is there an international court? Yes, there's an international court. Is that international court doing something? No. So these all international organizations and laws are just for namesake. Right? That is what this editorial is saying, right? It is saying that all the international laws, mean that the UN Charter, the UN clause, then you have what you call Arms Treaty, then the Human Rights Treaty, then the Environmental Treaty. All of these are there, but they are of no use. They're not doing anything, right? That is what this particular editorial is talking about, right? And the reason why all of this is weakening is because the permanent members, right? United Nations Security Council has a permanent member council, which is actually, what is it doing? It is blocking. It is blocking through deadlocks, right? That is one of the aspects why all of these laws are not working. And the second one is weak enforcement. As we have been talking, there's nothing binding. Everything is not binding, and everything is not involuntary. Right? Everything is not binding and everything is not involuntary. Everything is non-binding and voluntary in nature. As they are voluntary and non-binding in nature, nothing will happen, because states will think that instead of depending on these and getting controlled by these organizations, it is best for us to do what we want and how we want. That way we are tackling ourselves, we are tackling everything we have, right? That is another aspect why this particular organizations are not working. Then there's no global police force. No global police force is there, right? No global police force is there. There's no world government is there, right? All these are the reasons why all the international laws and organizations are not working, right? So that is all about this particular editorial, right? Moving on to the next editorial, right? Here we are talking about the heat wave, right? It's talking about the heat wave. We'll zoom it a little, right? Yeah, here it is talking about concrete fever. India must mandate green cover and reflective materials for its cities. It basically is talking about how heat wave is increasing. For that, it gave some stats, right? It said that it stats given by the IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, right? It said that the heat wave frequency has been increasing 0.1 day for every decade. Right? It has been increasing 0.1 day for every decade since 1961. It's saying that 0.1 decade it has increased since 1961, and 2015 to 2025 was the warmest decade. Right? Warmest decade since 2015 to 2025. Then you have the maximum duration of heat. Right? The maximum duration of heat has been increasing 0.55 day. What will this indicate? This indicates that the amount of heat waves is actually increasing. And whenever heat wave is increasing, who is going to affect? Right? It is not the nation, it is going to the people of the nation. Right? People of the nation are getting affected. This is creating what? An urban heat island effect. What is urban heat island effect? Urban heat island effect is nothing but an effect where the urban areas are very warm or very hot when compared to the surrounding rural areas. And the reason why all of the urban areas are hot is because why? Concrete. Concrete and asphalt. Concrete is used in making buildings, asphalt is used in making roads, right? These two are actually heat trapping. They trap a lot of heat. Then you have high-rise buildings. High-rise buildings also trap heat. Right? These are the reasons why there is high amount of heat wave that is present in India. And then you have air conditions. Right? Many people use air conditions. Now, what is the use of air conditions? It is to cool. Right? It is to cool the surface, the area that is there. Okay. But what you need to keep in mind is that air conditions are very costly, and everyone cannot afford them. Right? And it is only a temporary measure. A temporary measure which is afforded only by people who can do, right? But there are many people who cannot afford it. Many people like the labor workers, and street vendors. All these people cannot actually afford air conditioners, but they have to work. They have to work in the scorching heat. If they have to work in the scorching heat, and if they have to work till in the very hot sun, what will happen? They'll obviously suffer with sunstroke, dehydration, right? All of this will happen, and due to this, what will happen? Many people will get affected and many causalities will happen. That is another reason why we are talking about this heat wave, right? Air conditions, there is delivery workers, all of these people cannot afford air conditions. They have to work, they have to work hard for survival, they have to work in the sun for survival, right? Then heat is also labor issue. As I was saying, heat is a labor issue, labor issue and social issue. It is this point of view that we need to take. Many people take it from an environmental point of view. Heat wave, what is heat wave? Heat wave is nothing but increase of heat, and as the intense heat is increasing, there is high amount of what you call heat that is present in the atmosphere. As there is high amount of atmosphere, people are getting affected. This is an environmental issue, but we have to look at it from the labor issue and social issue. Right, labor issue meaning that all the street vendors are there, all the delivery drivers are there, all of the what you call construction workers are there. They have to work in these areas. And where are these areas? These areas are not what you call cool. They are hot areas, meaning they are working with sand, they are working with cement. As they are working with all of this, what will happen? The amount of heat that they are getting exposed to is increasing. Right. Then that for this reason we need to bring in solutions. Now, what are the solutions? Firstly, as I was saying, we need to talk about the buildings, and we need to use uh, heat resistant material for the buildings. Heat resistant material. Then you need to focus on cool roofs. Cool roofs. Then simultaneously, you also have to focus on what do you call afforestation or increasing tree cover. These are the aspects that one has to do, and reduce much uses of air conditioners. Now, why reducing air conditioner use? Because air conditioners consume a lot of electricity. And where is our major electricity coming from? Our major amount of electricity is coming from coal. 71.8% of electricity is coming from coal. As 71.8% electricity is coming from coal, if you use more number of ACs, we have to consume more amount of electricity, meaning that we have to use more coal to generate more electricity. And whenever we are using more coal, what will happen? Greenhouse gases will be released, due to which more amount of heat. It's like a loop. So you have to break the loop. And these are the solutions that we have to use to break the loop. Right. That is the end of this editorial. Right. And uh, also this current class. Thank you guys for attending this current affairs class. Hope you guys have learned a lot. Right. Meet you guys in the next class. Thank you.